What You Are Looking For Is in the Library is a book by Michiko Aoyama, translated by Allison Watts. It's similar to Before the Coffee Gets Cold, a cozy read that honestly I did not like at all. So is this book another dud, or is this book what you were looking for? Hi, I'm Amanda, and this is Spineless Books, your one-stop shop for all things audiobook. I'd like to start by telling you how the two books, Before the Coffee Gets Cold and What You Were Looking For Is in the Library, are similar. Both are Japanese translations. Both are structured through vignettes, multiple stories, and both have a common thread in each of the stories. Now, in Before the Coffee Gets Cold, the common thread is a cafe that just happens to have a chair from which it's possible to time travel. So each one of the characters who visits the cafe, each vignette, focuses on a character who's interested either in traveling back in time to sort of revisit something or traveling forward. So there are moments in every story that connect to needing to go backward or forward in time. The cafe serves as the through line for each story, but there are a few recurring characters, and in my opinion, I had a really hard time catching that characters were recurring because they were inconsistent in how they recurred. In What You Are Looking For Is in the Library, the through line, as the title implies, is the library. There are only two characters in the library, which makes it way simpler to follow, and each character who visits the library is looking for something. Now, the connection between characters and vignettes in this story is much easier to follow because each story connects to the story before. So, for example, story B connects to story A, story C connects to story B, and it's a really clear thread, and you're not always looking for it when it happens, but it makes much more sense. I had to work really hard in Before the Coffee Gets Cold, and harder than I wanted to work. Aoyama does an excellent job of getting you to invest in each of the 5 characters quickly. She lays out a challenge that they're facing, and the challenges are very relatable, so immediately you feel for the character, and you're curious how this problem is going to get solved. But each character is completely unique. Different stages of life, different economic brackets, just different hopes and dreams. So I felt like she really represented a huge facet of life very effectively. At some point in each vignette, the character visits the library, and they run into a librarian named Sayuri Komachi. She's particularly distinct. You can really I have such a vivid image of her in my head, and each character describes her again. So you really re-meet her, reintroduce yourself to her each time. When they go to the library, she gives each character book recommendations, and the book recommendations all have pretty standard things that you would expect based on what their challenge is. But then there's always one that's just a little oddity that she throws in there. And each of these recommendations has some sort of major impact on the character. All of the character stories come to some kind of resolution. They're not all exactly the same, and they're not all exactly what you'd expect, but I enjoyed each one and found them all very fulfilling. One story in particular, though I'm not going to give you any details because I don't want to spoil anything, actually gave me chills. It wasn't scary and it wasn't thrilling, but I felt so connected to the character and so in line with how she was feeling that when things fell into place for her, I just couldn't help myself. I was overcome with emotion. It was really visceral. So I was very invested in her, even though she was just part of a short story in this book. Each of the stories was performed by a different narrator. I felt like their voices were very well cast to the age and stage of the character in the vignette, and I can't really say that I would pick a favorite based on this first reading. I do think this is a book that I will listen to again, so maybe by then a preference will emerge, but for right now, I think all 5 were wonderful and really well suited to their particular story. To me, the format for Before the Coffee Gets Cold had so much potential. I was really looking forward to it, and I was so disappointed. If that book also disappointed you, I urge you to give this one a try. This is the same structure and same format, but it is done infinitely better, and it is just way more successful. It's really charming, and it'll warm your heart, even if your coffee's already hot. But remember, you might love what I hate and hate what I love, so make your own opinion. But thanks for listening to mine. I hope you like and subscribe. It really helps the channel. Thank you. See you next time.